The goal of this lesson is to make you more comfortable with Service Studio by walking you through its workspace and editors. Let's start from the top. The Windows title bar displays both your eSpace name and the server to which you're connected. The menu bar gives you access to almost all features in Service Studio. The toolbar is where you can find most of the operations you need during development. In the eSpace tree, you can see all the elements available in the eSpace. The flow canvas is where you design your screen or action flows. The properties pane is where you can define the properties of the element selected either in the flow or in the eSpace tree. The lower pane contains two tabs: Messages, where you can check for eSpace's errors and warnings, and Debugger, where you can observe the runtime behavior of your eSpace. Let's take a closer look at the eSpace tree, where you can see all the elements available in the eSpace organized in folders. The root of the eSpace tree displays the name of the eSpace, and if you click on it, you'll get access to the eSpace's properties. You can also click on any of the other elements to access their properties. The tree is organized in folders that group similar elements. Inside each folder, the child elements are sorted alphabetically. You can expand and collapse each folder by clicking the Expand Collapse icon. To add an element, you typically right-click the appropriate folder. Depending on the element's type, other operations may also be available in the right-click menu. Finally, you can double-click some of the element's types, such as web flows, screens, entities, and actions. This will open their editor. Most elements on your eSpace have properties, from the eSpace itself to the tiniest expression in one of your screens. The Properties pane is what you use to set them. The properties available for each element depend on the element's type, but the way you use the pane is basically the same for all elements. First of all, you can resize the pane to read more of the properties' labels and values. You have one property per line. On the left, you have the properties label, and on the right, you have the properties value. There are basically three ways to set a properties value. For some properties, such as the name of a widget, you simply type the value you want. Other types of properties, such as style, offer you a list of values from which you can choose from. And finally, more complex properties, such as expressions, offer you a specialized editor that helps you build the property value. You can access this editor in two ways: selecting Expression Editor from the drop-down list, or by double-clicking the properties label. Inside the Expression Editor, you can build your expression by typing in or by using the scope tree to help you build the expression. Let's now look at the flow canvas. This is the center stage of your development environment. Let's start with the ScreenFlow editor. Click on one of the screen flows in the eSpace tree. The editor provides a tools tree on the left with the elements you can add to your flow and the flow diagram in the center. To add a new element to the flow, drag it from the tools tree on the left. The properties of the selected element can be set in the Properties pane. Right-click an element to get some operations related with it. To create a connector between two screens, just place the mouse over the origin screen, drag it when the cursor turns into a cross, and drop it on to the target screen. These connectors can be deleted or redirected to another element by dragging the tip of the arrow into the new target element. To organize the flow, you can reposition one element at a time or select a group of elements and move them together. Let's move on to the screen editor. In the editor, you have the available widgets on your left and the screen layout in the center. To add a new element, you can do one of two things: drag it from the tools tree on the left or place the cursor where you want to edit and select Insert Widget in the right-click menu. By selecting the screen's elements, you can access their properties. Standard operations are available in the right-click menu. You can also drag and drop the screen's elements. Some widgets, such as the Edit record, the Show record, the Table records, and the List records, can automatically be set up based on an entity or entities attribute. To do this, simply drag and drop the entity or entities attribute from the eSpace tree on the right and drop it into the widget. On the top of the screen editor, the toolbar has formatting and layout tools. It provides standard features such as setting text as italic and text alignment, a glyph mode that displays additional information about the screen's layout is also available, a preview mode, and a set of handy tools to manage tables. To open the Action Flow editor, double-click one of the action elements in the eSpace tree. The editor is divided into the following areas. On the left of the editor, there's the Tools tree. It provides a set of tools that can be dragged to the flow to implement the behavior of the action. In the central area, there's the Flow canvas with all the elements that define the logic of the action. To see the properties of an element, select it on the Flow canvas and they'll be displayed in the Properties pane. The flow always begins with the start element, and the connectors determine the sequence between the elements. You can drag your elements around as a group or one by one. To add a new element to the flow, you have a couple of approaches. Drag and drop it over a connector. Notice that the connector turns blue when it is time for you to drop the element. Or drag and drop the new element in an empty area, redirect one of the existing connectors, and finally creating a new connector from the new element to the next one. As with the other editors, the elements in this one have a right-click menu. Now let's take a closer look at the toolbar. First, we have the Previous and Next buttons that allow you to navigate back and forth between the editors you've been recently in. Then, there are the standard file operations such as New, Open, and Save. We'll address Compare and Merge later on. There are also the Cut, Copy, and Paste buttons, and a set of tools to interact with the platform server. The Select server allows you to connect and authenticate to any Agile platform server. We'll address Add, Remove references later on. The Download allows you to get an eSpace from the Agile platform server, and the Upload stores your eSpace in the Agile platform server. It simply stores it, it doesn't actually publishes it. The next section provides you with the tools to validate the consistency of your eSpace and publish it into the Agile platform server. Let me highlight two more tools. The Synchronize tree. This is a handy tool that locates the element you're editing in the eSpace tree, and the Search box that searches the help and the OutSystems network. Let's try it with eSpace tree. A new browser window will open with the search results. Finally, the contextual help. In most elements, you can simply press F1 and the help entry for that element will come up. What have you learned? During this lesson, you learned about the components of the Service Studio's workspace, namely the toolbar, where you can find the most needed operations during development, the eSpace tree, that displays all the elements available in the eSpace organized in folders, the Flow canvas, where your editors are displayed. There are 3 editors. The Webflow editor, to plan your screens and the transitions between them, the Web Screen editor, to design the layout of your screens, and the Action Flow editor, to implement the behavior of your business logic. We've also talked about the lower pane. It contains two tabs, one called Messages, where you can check your eSpace for warnings and errors, and the other one is the debugger, to observe the runtime properties and behavior of your eSpace. Finally, the Properties pane is where you can set the properties of the selected element. Take a second to help us improve by rating this webinar. And move forward to the next lesson. Please send us your questions or feedback to training@outsystems.com. Thank you for watching.